I'm going to discuss a lot of things. And I'm not sure if they all connect to each other or just like separate little thoughts. But I want to talk about the prophecies and conspiracies. What if all the prophecies that were being told is actually happening? So, say that crazy guy on the street saying Jesus is coming, he finally comes. And that's happening. And just say, I watch his podcast Area 52, even though it's an annoying thing too, because it's like, I understand what he's doing, but also it's like, he had this guy's book, and he's reading his book, and he's like, saying this guy is probably, this guy had experience with aliens, and they gave him a prophecy, and this is him telling his truth and stuff like that. And this is if you want to believe it or not, this guy actually has this experience, or he's writing a good novel. And basically it was Puerto Rico. Puerto Rico has this traumatic recall and stuff like that. Obviously for me, when he's reading the thing, it sounds fake and stuff like that. So no, it doesn't sound fake. It sounds like he's writing a story instead of it being some experience he had. Because it's like if you give a cook, like just say if I cook something really good and you give it to a chef, he could taste all the ingredients I put in there. If you give me a plate, I won't be able to do that. I could be the bare minimum of like, oh, you used red sauce, you used some green things and stuff like that, but this guy could go deep into his like. So it's essentially like that. When he was reading that, it's like you could tell this person was writing a novel, not a experience. But just say if that was true, he saw the aliens were showing him Puerto Rico being destroyed. You could go to other people who are saying, people from the future told him about what's going to happen and the things that will unfold. And just say that's true. And so say all these things are true. But it never happens. Obviously, we're still alive and stuff like that. So that's not happening. But what if we use the infinity bread? Why does it smell like that? It smells like metal. Like I don't know what they call it, like nickel? It smells like nickel. Anyways, infinity bread, basically it's a bread with multiple possibilities inside a finite timeline, I guess you would say. And within the infinity bread, there's multiple branches being played out, and depending on how you want to go about it, linear or side by side, linear would be from beginning to end, and that's how everything's played out. So our past is our past, and our future hasn't been played out yet, or it is being played out and we're just going through the motions to reach the recall, right? Or you could go to the idea everything's recall go at the same time, and within that you'll figure out how the past and the present and future play out with each other at the exact time. And what branches are branching out from that. So you have multiple things like a parallel universe, and there's going to be constant branches of what possibly could be. Which one of my ideas would be maybe the reason why we're conscious is because we are in the concrete timeline. But I digress. I'll get to that. So you have multiple, and what if these aliens, these prophecies from dreams or from God or whatever are actually happening, but in the different universe, and the only reason why we haven't got our prophecy is because the other parallel universes are getting our prophecies, and we are never going to get our prophecies. Because I guess if we get our prophecies, then we could manipulate the timeline in the sense that, because just say 2030 is the end of the world, right? And they give us the prophecy, this is how it's going to happen, ba ba ba. And you're like, okay, can we change that? And you're going to change it, and no longer it's not going to be 2030. It's going to be maybe another 100 years, 10 years, or the next year, or whatever the case, or sooner than the due date. Yeah, so maybe in that case, that's why it's not being told of our prophecy, because if we were given our prophecy, we would change it constantly to reach a more favorable timeline for us, which may not be a best case scenario for the future, but for our present it would be. And maybe somebody is manipulating the timeline for us to further us to a more favorable future. And could that future be still in the best interest of us, or is it just pushing the problem down the road? And I think when we do probably give prophecies, that's probably telling the prophecies of the parallel universe of just say we are the main timeline. It's just giving the prophecies of those and stuff like that, of those timelines, but never ours, because we could manipulate it. And maybe that's not the best interest, or whatever case may be. I think right there, I think concrete. I think maybe that's where maybe that's why we might be conscious, is because we're the concrete universe or timeline, and that could be a thing. Or all the other ideas I have. Okay, this one I wanted to do. It was about elf machines and government, and there's a podcast, I forgot which one it was, Jesse Michael one's American Alchemy. It's basically this guy, I don't know where he was working for, but he was working with the government, and he said all this shit that the government's able to do to manipulate the masses, right? And to a degree, I believe him that it's possible. You could manipulate the masses by having, all this stuff like the AI, social, weather, TV, a lot of things you could manipulate, and they're able to do that really easily and stuff like that, right? And he's just basically saying that, and I was thinking that. I was thinking, what if this is all a big mind fuck? throwing out UFOs, throwing out, all these things, this mind, like, manipulation to make you think this and that. And as I'm thinking, right, maybe it's to reveal a person. So just say, if you're a person, maybe it's like revealing. There's this thing I did where spirits and souls. Spirits are NPCs. Souls are part of the consciousness. NPC meaning they're part of the matrix and stuff like that, and they won't be able to know that they are a spirit because it emulates the soul. So, but when they die, they're going to see blackness or being re-entered into the matrix to further the the timeline or whatever they have it planned for the future, right? What if this is the biggest circus? Like a circus, bro. It's just like, hey, we're gonna put this UFO up there, throw UFO up there. We're gonna put this scary monster right there, put the scary monster there. And this goes to this deal with some people aren't able, like somebody said there was like these two people were standing and they were looking at UFO. One was able to see UFO, the other wasn't. And what if this is a huge mindfuck, a whole psyop of UFOs, all these paranormal activities and stuff like that, and stuff like that, is to reveal that's a soul and that's a spirit. The spirit can't see the UFO, the soul could see the UFO. And because the soul is able to see UFO, you understand, okay, this is a conscious being, so we have to, maybe, whatever the case may be, integrate it into the fucking matrix and let it get lost in that, or try to fight to delete it, or whatever the case may be, whatever reasons that they would want it to be, this soul to be removed or helped or used to be to a greater plan, right? So that, right? What if that's what's happened? A huge circus, and just, if you're able to see a UFO, that means you're probably conscious. If you're not, then that means you're an NPC and you're part of the matrix. And another idea that we call, because it said that this is one of those far out ones, but they said it's the Earth is a prison to artists and all these horrible beings, like murderers, killers. No, well, same thing. Murderers, still, all these bad people and artists for some reason are in prison here, and they constantly recycled. And they said, I don't know why they said that, but they said artists are the most dangerous people in this conspiracy theory. And what if it's that, to imprison artists and all these other people, and what is, what, because it's, so that, right? As I'm watching this thing with Danny Jones and the recent podcast, I forgot what it was, with some person who was not. What is it? Scientist deathbed confession, whatever. As they were talking about, they talk about meditation, And I had this theory. No, I did a podcast about it, but I just deleted it because I didn't have nowhere to go with it. It was kind of like the problem with that was you're dealing with a lot of you're dealing with a lot of branches. Not only are you dealing with a lot of branches, you're having to. It's like once I had this one branch, you're already like going against this logic, and once you fix it where it doesn't, it makes this logic stopper, and it constantly went like that. But they had my idea came from somebody talking about DMT elf machines, and how I think they were between two realms, the physical and the I forgot, but Rico, right? I was thinking maybe these things are putting thoughts in our heads and trying to create a timeline that fits their their angle. And then this, and as I mentioned, the government thing, as they were talking about it and stuff like that. I always go back to the Havana syndrome, where they were sending. There's a conspiracy. Havana syndrome, where what the real, I guess we call symptoms were whatever, but the conspiracy is they're sending fucking waves to soldiers to make them go crazy. And that's one of my other thoughts, maybe, is because when this guy was talking about this NASA guy talking about, he was talking about all these things they're capable of, and I'm like, that's crazy that they're able to do that, and how easily that could be interpreted to all these other things. And what if that's what they're doing, the government or whatever the case may be, is trying. Well, obviously they have been doing that with the algorithm and the food and stuff like that. But as I was thinking, what if they're doing that with the poles and stuff like that, sending waves to maybe you go wherever they want you to go, be trapped into the matrix and don't go beyond what free will would be. And I thought about that, and I think that's still a thing, but I just think that might be too easy to, how you say, spot. So instead of doing that, they're using food, the algorithm, anything that could be manipulating the mind. And I think that might be the case, what might be happening, where they're manipulating the mind and having you buy these things and stuff like that, and doing all these negative things and stuff like that. And depending on where you're at with your mind and your body, you could easily succumb to those tricks, those manipulation tricks that they are doing on us to keep us from exploring or having that free will that we might not have, because we are stuck in their strings. And they keep talking about meditation and how good that is. And I think the reason for meditation, it could be for obvious health, like to calm your mind and all that stuff, and how to settle that. But what if it's also to secure your voice? Because obviously people who are addicted to food, to cigarettes, to drugs and all that stuff, they are easily inclined to do that instead of doing what the mind wants, or the conscious or the soul wants. The soul conscious wants to do this, but because the mind, because of the addiction or whatever, is you're more inclined to follow that than what your mind is, and so you have all these negative things pop in your head, like the food, the drugs, the games, the TV, the videos, and all that stuff, and it's all manipulating your head, and your mind's being suffocated over that. Your soul, your soul is being suffocated over that, and you're succumbing to the government or the powers that be, or the matrix or whatever strings, and you're following their plan. And if you're able to meditate and able to separate all the negative things that might come along with the ego, the algorithm, with all the things that I mentioned, you could have free will. You could maneuver through this space without worrying about being trapped into the game that is time, and where they want it to be and stuff like that. And as I say this as a person who is not recall, but I think as I was watching that, I think that's several things I was thinking about with the elf machine. The elf machine is basically probably part of the. It's like either it could be the elf machine or the government, or it could be them two working in separate places, but in so like just say elf machine is working at a more future, like a future like 100 years ahead, while government's working at the powers that be is working at like 10 years ahead, and or say they're in sync or whatever the case may be. But I think those two could be a thing. Obviously I mentioned the timeline's universal, but it's the only reason we know this because when we are in the period, but only prophecy being told on other branches. But maybe the reason we are conscious is because we are. Yeah, I think that's I just because it just might be just a simple thought. That's it. Like we are puppets in the game, and until we are maybe you need to really focus on meditation so we could drown out the noise, and we could have our voice up front instead of all the other stuff, and then that's when we could create our paths, and wherever that may be. And as I said, that could be a dangerous that could be a problem because that goes against what's going to happen in the future or the present, and they need that to be the way they would want it to be. But I just don't think I don't think things are able to just do that without consequences. And I think that's a lot of things where they are trying to find ways to do it without dealing with the consequences, and they're able to do it, and sometimes they're not. And sometimes in this case where we're like more than just, we're just like, yeah, the government's fucking us over, so what can we do? That's a big government, we can't do nothing. But what if that's the benefit for them for us to be accepted to our demise? But in meditation could break all that, because you could just do as you please. And it won't be able to be stopped because recall. It won't be stopped because if you kill somebody just because of going against that, whoever's top dog will say that's not cool because we did that before, and we saw the results of that once we try to, I say, control the future, control our present, or our instant. When we try to control our instance by making sure it's a positive outcome for our recall, we realize at the end of it becomes an issue because of you basically it's like that thing where you like maybe create a certain future instead of an uncertain one, and a certain future might result into something so negative that if you had multiple variables be multiple variables, it there's a chance you could avoid that. But because you kept hitting the right spot at the right time, you ultimately will meet your demise, or maybe you don't have to meet your demise or meet a situation where everything's fine. But if everything is fine, why you continue to try to manipulate it? Unless that's what I'm saying. Unless you're manipulating it to everything is fine, and everything is fine. But I think it could be that thing of maybe the gods got bored and decided let's fuck shit up so we could have fun again instead of having this happy-go-lucky existence. It could be that, or it could be you're doing everything correctly that it's resulting in a negative outcome or a positive outcome or a good and bad outcome where you're like you could go either way, but maybe because it's you who died it's not a good outcome, but the other person who lived is good in this in what do you call in their reality. So and meditation might just be that one that helps us to have that free will and just break the loop they're trying to create and stuff like that. And yeah, I think that'd be it. We are all puppets. Unless we can control our mind, then we no longer are puppets. I just want to add this little part. As I mentioned about government and their possibilities to manipulate us, the things they are able to do is for us to just believe all these things and it just be these are not real. And these are just creations of our government, who are able to do all these things, like make UFOs cover the sky, aliens, paranormal activity, all that stuff. It's all they're doing, and for them to able to, for me to think that, for everything to fall in line, it could just be just like, hey, we're gonna just throw a fucking UFO up there, and whoever gets it, but. It's like this very complex circus of it's a circus. Just so many moving parts that it's more easier to believe. It's more easier to believe aliens being a real thing. You know, all these paranormal things being a legit thing. Except for this circus. Whoever the powers may be creating this, like the Wizard of Oz, like this. I don't know about the Wizard of Oz, but basically just everything just fucking manufactured, and we're just falling for it, and the complexity for that to for whoever the power may be to control all that. For what? To, I guess, as I said, for a future they want and stuff like that. Cool. As I said, it's more easy to believe aliens are real and all the paranormal things. Then, as I'm watching this thing called The Fifth Kind, and they got this Hindu guy. He's talking about this thing, and it shows the reptile. I think I'm like 10 minutes in, and they said they had like treasures and stuff and all these things and yada yada yada, and I had me thinking maybe that DMT space realm, maybe that's the reptilians making you go through there, and they're just manipulating you and stuff like that, and like, hey, this is a place of blah blah blah, you're gonna do this, we're gonna la la la, all that shit and so forth. They have me thinking, what if the elves are the elves and the elves transcended to machine elves, and the reptilians are the reptilians, and they're trying to manipulate us. And what if it's the circus, but with so many fucking hands in the fucking jar that's trying to create this fucking crazy reality that what if it's so many hands in the puppet? Like they talk about how there's multiple aliens, I guess, surveying Earth, you know, trying to get their hands on it, or whatever the case may be. They're trying to do to, you know, lean it their way, or whatever the case. What if that's the case? Just the case that these metallic elves are elves who transcended. They used to live. They oh shit. They used to live on Earth, frolicking around, and you know, and they're like, they discovered fucking, you know, fucking machines and stuff like that. You know, or technology, like in the Week-Hall, because it just said they're all based on fucking fairy dust and shit like that, and they're dealing with whatever magics that be in their realm, elves and shit like that. No, they live here. They just say they were born here, and whatever powers they are grabbing from, to say from the universe, they understood how to grab from the universe. And this is how they're able to. What if they mixed it with science? Because they probably were able to live longer, and they probably were like curious, like any smart being, and they're like, what if we work with science or machinery and they continue to do it? As they continue to fuck with it, they created a realm of their own. And that's what's layering, I guess, our realm, our dimension, or whatever. And the reptilians are here doing the same thing, whatever the case may be. Maybe it's a lesser form than the elves. They're probably abducting us, or just living underneath, and maybe saying what's up top to certain governments and shit like that. And obviously our government is fucking us over. And the Greys coming around and just like trying to spice shit up in their way. Because there's a biblical thing about that, how aliens are not able to control Earth, and the only way they could control Earth is if they get like blood from us. And that's the theory with the hybrid theory. Maybe that's what they're doing, is to gain control of Earth. And it's I guess this stuff is just to create hybrids to be closer to us, so that they could take it from us and stuff like that. Biblical things. You know, all those biblical people and other gods, and which one you want to believe and which one is Week-Hall. And then I'm like, maybe the Hinduism, maybe that's the right way, because they're like, hey, you're basically this. Fuck all that noise outside, and if you really want to have your own free will, or if you really want to be one with whatever, nirvana, then figure that shit out in your mind and shit like that. Because once you do that, you're able to take out all these fucking you could take all the bullshit out. And maybe that's because that's what it's all leads. Maybe all these like mechanical elves, fucking government, fucking alien Greys, biblical like religions and shit like that. Maybe it's all your head. You just have you go one way or the other. And it is a circus in the sense where I was like thinking like government has so many things to manipulate us to think this is this and that. Maybe it's to a grander scale and everybody's fucking doing that, and we're just fucking mindlessly walking around fucking taking it because we don't have the the tools to block all those voices in our heads that might be from the metallic elves or reptilians or the Greys or the fucking government or whatever else that comes in. But we're able to harness our abilities, whatever that is, the consciousness and stuff like that, then boom, we are free from all bullshit. And I just thought that was that. I was watching this thing. I saw the reptilians, like, hey, maybe the reptilians are just making the DMT world theirs and trying to trick us and shit like that. Then I'm like, what if it's just fucking elves? Fucking recall. It's just elves being elves and just that's their realm, and they're fucking with us. Shit. Because this guy, that Danny Jones, he talked about his experience and stuff like that. He was, I guess, talking to a tree, and they were just saying, I'm not sure if he was talking to metallical elves or whatever the case may be, but they were saying that these things are going to be here longer than you. They don't want you. Yeah. Maybe the reason why they're talking so spicy is because they want us to fucking fall. Because, you know, if they... And because they're so fucking ego, like, they're, like, so, like, full of themselves that... Well, obviously, if they're able to create a dimension and live in it and do that and all that stuff, yeah, they're probably way smarter than us, and maybe they feel... As I said, they smart people or people who are highly intelligent have this benign aspect to themselves and stuff like that. You know, they feel pity for dumb people like us and shit like that, so they like whatever they. But at the same time, they probably like, you're fucking shit up that we don't like or something like that. And either way, I think when you look at it, it could be that. He's just talking about how he was talking to the tree that they said they could live over, and the reason he's talking so spicy is probably because he knows he could do shit and shit like that, but I think they're not able to without suffering the consequences of whoever is controlling this domain. I could just imagine there's a bunch of bitter ass people just standing around looking at us, ready to just pounce and fuck us up. But they can't because just say God is whatever God that may be. Just say humanoids, a far advanced humanoid is just standing there, is with his arm crossed, waiting for a motherfucker just to step out of line so they could just beat the shit out of him. And without them getting jumped, the advanced humanoid getting jumped, fucking the Galactic Federation is like, you step in, you won't get fucked up by us, you know, and whatever the case may be. Because I just don't think, I think there's a federation. I think that we could I think the universe could be lawless, and it is for the people who are willing to let it be lawless. But the universe could be lawless if there wasn't an overpowering government like ours protecting, you know, all the small people like us, all the small creatures like us. And I think that might be the case. That everything that might be what's going on. I think humanoids is right there. Yeah, most advanced humanoids are looking over us and saying, you know, hope this shit turns out well. But you know, some people are being assholes about this and trying to dictate this to their liking and so forth. And you know, that's cool and all, but we could still try to lead it our way by just having our people believe in us or whatever the case may be. And these other powers like elves, raptors, no, I mean reptilians, greys, Nordics, Paladin. Well, I think those are part of it, but all these other different alien races are just standing by, waiting. And as I said, once they step out of line, they get fucked up by the recall. And for avoiding them from getting jumped is the Federation or whatever. They mentioned like 9 Egyptian gods. Maybe there's like these 9 deities, or like you jump the humanoid, then guess what? You're gonna get fucked up by us, and that's genocide of your kind, or at least this specific set of kind of creatures. But I just want to add to that because I was just as I was watching this, that came to mind. I'm like, yeah, that could be a possibility too. It's a circus. That is it.